Hello y'all, this is Red Flood, a mod for Hearts of Iron 4 set in a world where no one was able to win World War I. We're going to play as Finland, who after the Great War, while an autonomous duchy, fell into a civil war with red and pro-independence groups fighting against pro-Russian loyalists. The loyalists were victorious, but outside of the nobility, staying with Russia is losing its popularity, and some people are looking to make their voices heard. Looking at our starting situation, we have the national spirit, warlord, indifference. The ruling party ideology is despotic, and we are the puppet of another country. As for who we are the puppet of, that would be the Russian Empire, who has a good amount of subject states. Checking out the government of our country, all of the positions in it are occupied by the Senate of Finland. As for the armed forces, we have 18 divisions, a small navy with a cruiser acting as the pride of the fleet, and 3 air wings filled with tactical bombers, close air support, and fighters. Browsing through army commanders, it's a lot of generals but no starting field marshals, so we'll just promote someone to that rank later. One interesting thing about the division templates we begin with, other than the main one for infantry, there is already one made for garrison units. For starting military technology, we have up-to-date weapons motorized, no tanks, no artillery, and in the aircraft category, basic fighters, basic tactical bombers, and 1936 year close air support. Let's begin the focus tree with Russian overlordship, continue Russification, promote Russian settlement, and then when the opportunity arrives, storm in central Russia. The Grand Duchy of Finland in 1936, the country has been part of Russia for more than 100 years, and it shows, leading to many rebellions, including a very harsh one in 1905. In its most recent years, Franz Albert Seine was made the regent of the Grand Duke of Finland by Kolchak, but things remain shaky for the pro-Kolchak government as the country sits near all-out chaos. Looking way down south to Africa, accelerationists take Madagascar. This could mean the island may become a member of the League Solar faction in the future. Going over to East Asia, there is war all over the place, be it in Japan, Korea, or China. We could do some of these other 70-day focuses in the other branches of the tree, but we won't. Instead, let's wait and take storm in central Russia as soon as it is available. That is very interesting to see. Great Scythia and the Orenburg sovereign state has appeared to the south of the Russian Empire. Alexander Kolchak has been assassinated. If there is any sign of the storm approaching, this would be it. Something resembling a civil war has broken out nearby. It is between the Russian Empire and the Novorosian general government. The storm has begun. That means we can take the focus we've been waiting for. This is going to let us progress deeper into the political branch of the focus tree. A chance has come that may not come again. That is to go south and take Petrograd, the ancient capital of Russia. This is quite the gamble, but it would let us proclaim ourselves as the regent of Russia. So let's go ahead and send our armies down south. Imperial Japan won the Japanese Civil War, and the storm in central Russia focus is completed, which is quite an accurate phrase for what is going on there. The Petrograd operation was a disaster. Seine locks himself in his office. While this takes place, many of his servants abandon him. Eventually, soldiers come and take him away, stating that he was accused of treason and is under arrest. He did not resist. A few days later, the Grand Duke is executed by his own soldiers. With his demise, a focus is completed. We become just Finland and get a new flag. We are also no longer a puppet under the Russian Empire. Let's take advantage of our independence by justifying a war goal on the neighboring Baltic general government. This is an event about the execution of Franz Albert Seine. His hands are tied and he says his last words. All of this takes place in the front of a street in Helsinki. The military will choose a successor since they cannot rule themselves, as it is believed the people will not stand for this kind of military junta. We have 2 choices. Let's make it so that the monarchist forces will reign supreme. We got our monarch and now we are on his political path. Let's prepare to crown and have our coronation for him. There is now 2 Russias, kind of, since the Siberian general government has morphed into the Russian state. Checking on the Spanish, they have their own civil war going on with the National Front battling the Spanish Republic. The king is coronated without any problems. Is this the man who is destined to lead the new Finland? Possibly not, as an assassin makes an attempt on his life as the German-born king makes a speech. He can either live or die. Let's have it so the recently crowned man is shot 2 times in the body. After the death of the king, a regency council was declared. However, it was dissolved pretty fast as it lacks power, and many local generals sided with Sigurd Wettenhovi-Aspa. This results in the KEKS becoming the ruling party of Finland. Our flag is changed, and the accelerationists led by Wettenhovi-Aspa now control the country. Sigurd Wettenhovi-Aspa historically was a painter, sculptor, and a writer who believed the Finns were descended from ancient Egypt and thought the Finnish language left several words in the lexicon there. We're locked out of the monarch political path due to our choices, but we do have access to Aspas, which we will start with Dreams of Old Fatherland. We're going to make our move on the Baltic general government, who is no longer a puppet of the Russian Empire, so they will have to fight us on their own. Looking over to the east, Transbaikal is battling the Russian state. Good luck with that. In our focus tree, let's go with Pharaoh of Finland, and after that we will go with allies from beyond Yatyor. Yatyor being the ancient Egyptian name for the Mediterranean Sea. The showdown between Great Scythia and the Orenburg sovereign state has begun. There can only be one, I guess. The Pharaoh of Finland focus is done. Our country has become the 34th dynasty, continuing from the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt from more than 1,960 years ago. Wettenhovi-Aspa name is altered and his portrait changes. We declared war on the Baltic government. Many naval invasions have been set up for the occasion. Hopefully none of them fail horribly. One group successfully landed, and another one will soon join them once they take the port city of Revel, which is now known today as Tallinn. All of our troops have landed. They are going to be reinforced with reserves that were left back in Finland. Other than that, there is some fighting as we try to maintain the front lines and not lose ground to the enemy. We trapped one division, but the foe is doing the same to one of our units in Riga, who has become overwhelmed, so we're rushing to save them. The troops in Riga couldn't be rescued, sadly, but we have isolated more enemy soldiers, including a relatively special motorized force. We gotta find ourselves some allies for the 34th dynasty. Let's go with the League Stellar, which is led by avant-garde France. The French accepted our request, so we have become part of a pretty powerful faction in Europe. In the focus tree, let's do unification of the lands of Set, which upon being completed will grant us war goals and decisions. That is done, so let's see what the decisions actually are. Well, they amount to getting cores on some states outside of our starting territory, and this sometimes costs us manpower and base stability, plus we gotta take the states to begin with. We went about restoring broken connections. The Republicans win the Spanish Civil War, and in our focus tree, let's do Society of Thoth, and after that, Great Pyramids of Helsinki. Our government establishes contact with a young Egyptian academic named Taha Hussein, who was visiting France. He has written works on Islamic poetry and critiques of British colonial rule as well as Arab society. He has been asked to look closely at the relationship between Coptic languages and Finnish. The Pharaoh will give him everything he needs to do so. We brought the French into our war to give us a helping hand, and once we take Vitebska, it should be over. We won the conflict, we take what we want, and puppet everything else, basically. Some interesting developments. The Russian Union Empire is a thing that exists next to us, and Great Scythia beat the Orenburg sovereign state. We're going to go to war with the North Atlantic People's Councils, who controls a bit of Norway and Iceland. We will make sure to call in allies, while they, on the other hand, have no one to call in. Continuing our way along the political path, let's start rebirth of mummification traditions, and after that, Finnish hieroglyphy, which among other things renames some of our cities. The Baltic general government somehow left our control and made a faction with Prussia, but on the bright side, they are in the same war as us. In the north, we are devastating the People's Council's army. If their divisions are destroyed here, they are going to have problems replacing them, I imagine, due to manpower. We're nearly done with our political focuses. Let's start Baltic Nubian mercenaries, modern carriage of Amon-Ra, and top it all off with sail to our ancestral lands. There was a plan to attack Sweden, but they're guaranteed by Ukraine, who is in the Intermarian faction, and that's just a fight that isn't worth having at this moment in time. Accelerationist Finland has a number of special political advisors, so let's go over each one and who they are. Historically, as head of government, we have Jean Sibelius, a composer who is typically credited as having helped Finland develop a national identity. The foreign minister, Uno Kallis, was a prominent poet of Finland during the 1930s. The economy minister, Jonathan Vuotivaara, was a politician who at one point was the minister of finance. Mika Walteri, minister of the interior, was a writer, perhaps best known for his novel the Egyptian. Last but not least, the head of military intelligence, Edith Soldogran, was a poet in the modernist movement who in our timeline died in 1923. Obviously, that isn't the case here. The Baltic mercenaries have come, be they Estonians or Livonians. I assume this event will give us some units. There it is, 2 new infantry divisions for the 34th Dynasty. Sail to our ancestral lands is completed. Since we are so connected with Egypt, I feel like I want to say things will get a little crazy. The cosmic connection soldiers are readied to take British Egypt for the Pharaoh in Finland. Meanwhile, this is going on. Militias led by Taha Hussein rise up to fight for the dynasty's cause. 3 Finnish-Egyptian divisions appear in El Alamein and Alexandria with the goal to take the settlements from the British-endorsed government. News reaches the world that the 34th Dynasty is invading Egypt. This is the start of the battle of cosmic reality. Instead of focusing everything on Egypt, we launched a surprise attack on Britain by using the Faroe Islands. The reason we went to the UK instead of British Egypt so much is because they are a puppet of the United Kingdom, and if we beat them, we will be able to get the land we are fighting for. With a path made, soldiers of the Finnish Pharaoh are marching into the city of London. We did get France involved in our conflict, and as a result, we may have left Fiume to get beaten by Italy in their war. Yeah, they got annexed. We may attempt to revive them later. We have triumphed. We took control of Egypt, and we also grabbed the Suez Canal in the peace conference. With no other wars to deal with, let's act and push into Italy so we can resurrect our fallen faction member. Fiume is back on the world stage, and it's bigger than it was before. Our gaze is turned upon the Russian Union Empire, and we begin a war with them. This is a fight between 2 accelerationist countries, one being Finland, Egypt, and the other rather rosy Russia. France begins a war with the Germans. I'm not sure if we're going to help out with that one. We sort of got our hands full with the Russians. This is definitely going to help. The Belarusian Revolutionary Republic attacks the Russian Union Empire with the Intermarium. This will open up a new front for sure. As we move deeper into enemy lands, we can use our decisions to make some of the states we take into cores for ourselves. That's over. We expanded greatly, and we might as well take a look at our subjects, which includes a lot of old Commonwealth of Nation members, the British faction, and Italy/Fiume with a rename. The video is going to end here. If you enjoyed the mod, make sure to check it out in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment. Have an awesome day. I'll see y'all later. Bye.